Hey guys, I am back in Milan. I've been back in Milan for almost 2 months now, a little bit more than 2 months. I returned back home to the US for about a month and a half just to relax because I really needed to rest because the process of finishing my thesis was stressful. The thesis process was stressful. It just was terrible the whole entire time almost. And I didn't even know if I was going to graduate until like a day before. So it was just a lot. So I needed time to relax. If it's your first time watching my channel has basically been about my experience and my perspective from moving from the United States all the way to Italy to study design. I've talked about the immigration process in Italy. I've talked about how to actually get into the Politecnico di Milano. I've talked about just basically living in a new country as an expat, as an immigrant, and a whole combination of different videos of my perspective over the last 2 years. But now, about 2 months ago, December 2023, I have officially graduated. I am officially a Master's of Science graduate in integrated product design. Now that I have finished my program and I finished my diploma and I have everything, I actually have the diploma. I really wanted to think hard about what the status is of my YouTube channel. Now I know my channel has been a good resource for people to understand a plethora of different things having pertaining to design school in Italy or just even moving to Italy and having nothing to do with school. I would like to now start transitioning videos more into the design world and the art world. Now that doesn't mean that I'm going to take down my old videos. I mean, I don't know if I will do that. I don't know. We'll see what the energy is like. I don't know what I would need to do that. So they will still be up there, but I want to start making videos more about what happens after design school, which will be important to you as well because eventually you want to graduate and be done with school. And I want to provide an opportunity to hear different perspectives and different views of people who are doing it in the world. But before I start that transition, I really want to speak about my own perspective and one more thing that really has to pertain to Politecnico. And that has to do with postgraduate stress, postgraduate depression, postgraduate emotional whatever that happens after you finish school. I honestly feel like for international students or immigrants or people who come to a different country to study, it's a little bit more difficult after you graduate. Now, even if you're in a different, let's say, for example, in the United States and you move to a different city for school and you have to move back or you're trying to find a job to stay there, there is a level of stress to that, but being an international person makes it on a different level. But hopefully, by hearing my experience or hearing what I have to say, it helps you in maybe making the next steps a little bit easier for you. And I just wanted to go ahead and just talk about some of the top topics for me from the confusion phase that I'm in right now, the Italian job market. When I had gone back home, I had gone back to my grandparents' anniversary. So it was an experience where I met a lot of family and people I hadn't seen in a while. And one of the biggest questions that I kept getting over and over again was, okay, what's next? What's next with my life? And I'm very confused. I think everyone's confused about that, no matter what stage of life you're in. But for me, it's been really confusing because I want to stay in Italy for at least a little bit longer because I feel like I finally am out of school. I get to travel more. I get to really experience some Italian things that I just didn't have time, like being in school, because you are doing a lot when you're in that program. Um, but also, I need a job. And I think it's really difficult to get a job here. Also, my friends are mainly in Italy. I mean, I mainly talk to people in the EU now, besides like my family and maybe like a few friends back home. But pretty much like my whole social life is now here. My lover is here. And And it's just making it difficult to think about what my next steps are. And I think that's fine. I think a level of confusion brings like a necessity to find understanding. And that's what I'm trying to find. Which would be able to be a little bit easier if I had a nice paying job, which I will get. But this transitions to my next point, the Italian job market. Let's talk about the Italian job market. Now, the job market here is kind of notorious for being like terrible. It has one of the highest youth unemployment rates. I have to double check at what level that they were at. Before I had even graduated school, I was aggressively applying to all different types of jobs. I have applied to maybe over, easily like 600, 700 jobs and internships. And during that time, I did get a lot of interviews and I did get my internship. It was awesome because it was exactly in the field of wearable technology and the area that I wanted to be in. However, I wasn't offered any type of permanent contract or any type of freelance contract to keep me there or to actually get paid. Now, let me explain why I think, from my perspective, Italy has kind of a terrible job market. This is from my perspective and just what I've experienced from applying to jobs, interviewing with jobs, doing different things here. Number one, the bureaucracy and taxes are so high in Italy, it makes it difficult to hire people. Now, they have kind of a contract thing, like, which is a contract that is like basically indefinite. It's not impossible to get fired from having this contract, but it makes it very difficult to do so. So a lot of Italian employers are looking for someone who matches the job perfectly and is looking to be there long term, because it takes a lot of money to hire someone, and also giving someone a contract that is a long term contract can have, hopefully, good results with them, but they don't want to have terrible results with them. So, from my perspective, they will do everything besides offering a full-time contract. The two types of contracts that I see that are the most popular here are freelance contracts and a internship contract. Freelance contract, most of the designers that I know are pretty much on freelance contracts. So basically this means, I don't know all the very specifics to it, but you don't have the same benefits as a full-time employee. And the internship contract is generally through the university and the employer that's trying to hire you, which doesn't always say that they have to pay you. It could be an unpaid internship, but the paid ones are another popular one that I see with people my age at this very time. Also, there is a mindset that is completely different here than in the US. I feel like there's an assumption that young people don't have to get paid that much because they're either living with their parents or their parents are helping them out, which is not always the case, and definitely not the case for everybody who's living here. I don't know if that comes from a previous time of different things, but there's an assumption that your parents will pay for things, and because of that, employers don't pay you that much. Another point of why they don't pay you, they're like, if they're living at home, they're young, just give them something. They don't have that many bills, which is not a good mindset to have. Number 3, there is also no minimum wage in Italy. So I think that promotes a lack of responsibility from employers. If you could pay literally anybody anything, why would you pay them a lot of money? You would obviously try to pay them the least amount because there's no minimum wage here. And 4, maybe because I'm a young person, maybe because I've done internships, there seems to be a never-ending internship cycle. And with this internship cycle, I mean, you get an internship, you do it for 6 months, and they have every excuse. They try to bring up every excuse not to hire you with a full-time contract. They will try to give you a freelance contract at the best, or, which is more common, they try to extend your internship to make sure that they don't have to transition you into a different category as a different category of worker. So right now I'm working for a creative design. Hey guys, I filmed this video a little while ago and I ended up not getting that job. So I had finished my periodo di prova, or I guess part of it, and they had told me that they were moving on. They wanted to find somebody else. It was a little bit of probably one of the most cringe and awkward moments I've had. It just wasn't handled as properly as I would have hoped. It was a little gratuitous, if you could say, but ended it on good terms. Still had a great time and still learned a lot from the company. So now I am still looking again. Okay, let me explain the general process from graduating to actually getting a job in Italy. Now, this is basically based off of my perspective of my friends and very specifically to design, just because that's what I have experience in. So you apply to a bunch of jobs, you use LinkedIn, you use your school's website for jobs, which I highly recommend, especially for English speakers, because you're more likely to find English speaking jobs there because they have an assumption or they assume that not everybody going to the university speaks Italian. And that leads to another point. You need Italian if you want to be able to get the really big jobs, because even in my studio at school, a lot of people were speaking Italian. And also the studio that I was in before, they would speak Italian, and the job now, there's a lot of Italian. And you would benefit in general from just being able to at least understand it. That's where I am. I recently took a language test, which I thought I was higher, but I'm like B1, and you can do a lot with B1. Anyways, so you apply to a job, you get a call back. They like your portfolio, they like what you've been doing, and they schedule an interview. You have your first interview. An interview, they just want to see if you are able to hold a conversation, if you're reasonable, all that type of stuff. If they like you, they will give you another call. It's generally if they like you, they send you an email saying that they like you and they really want to see your skill level, so they will give you a project to do. After you send the project in, they generally have a third interview, which they go over the project with you, they say what they like, and generally they will tell you an answer. Hopefully, I'm not even going to put a timeline on it because apparently there's none that exist anymore. I've honestly also seen 4 interviews where they have, after the third one, they're deciding between 2 candidates, and then they have a 4th one because they just really want to see, it's really tight, and they really want to see who the best person is for the job. I just want to be realistic for potential students and people coming here. It's really difficult and it takes a long time. Like, even if you were to get a job right away, you still have to go through the process of all these documents, all these different things that make it really difficult to get a job. A lot of people who watch my videos are really trying to understand how much does it cost to actually live here. And it's extremely expensive. And especially if you already need money and you're trying to get a job, the process between getting a job and applying takes a long time, even if things work out perfectly. So just be aware of that before even coming to Italy, that applying to a job is difficult. Which leads to my conclusion of my next steps for this YouTube channel. Obviously, since I'm no longer in school, I'm not going to be posting school content anymore. I think my previous videos cover a lot of the major topics that you may experience going through school here. And I'm going to focus now on what happens after school. So real design world, real art world things. Whether that's interviews with people, whether that's my design projects, other design projects, collabs with people, all of that. This is what it will become. I obviously will help if you still have questions about Politecnico, design questions, portfolio questions, all those different things if you hit me up in my DMs. But I'm just going to make the transition to the stuff that you really want to know after you get out of school, the real important things anyways. So thank you for watching my channel. I'm going to have more content coming. Please subscribe as well. And yeah, a very different video, but I think there needed to be a video in between now and my new content that I do. So, thank you guys.